Greetings. For this week's Value Driver video, we're going to talk about meta conversations. Now, I was recently at the Pulse Customer Success Conference, and I delivered a handful of onboarding coaching sessions through Rocket Lane. I was hosted by Rocket Lane at the event. And something that came up in all the coaching sessions was about having a meta conversation with your customers. Now, what's a meta conversation? A meta, it comes from Greek and it means above, beyond. It means like an overview. A meta conversation is a conversation about the conversation. You talk about the process, not the content. And it's especially helpful for difficult conversations or when you know that you have maybe very different communication styles. So I know that sounds a bit vague, so let's give an example. So let's say you are talking about finances with your partner or a parent. And finances can get very emotional very quickly. So before you dive into the details of your budget or your planning or your priorities, you talk about how you're going to talk about it. You might talk about your goals, your priorities, and then how to deal with when somebody gets emotional or conflicts comes up. You have an agreement. That way you're already partnering together and you have a way to deal with things as they come up. The benefits of having meta conversations is that they can be very powerful. They help you to resolve conflicts more quickly, help you align communication processes and approaches. It improves communication and understanding, and it builds trusting and enduring relationships. The point with meta conversations is that you slow down. You talk about the why first and the how before the what, so that you can move more quickly throughout the conversation. Now, what do meta conversations have to do with customer success and customer onboarding? Now, all the people that I coached at Pulse were diving right into the kickoff, the technical weeds, the tactics, and they were not pausing to have this conversation about how to work together. Now, if your product is complex and your customer onboardings are long and technical, then it really helps to have a meta conversation first. Now, what I do is I have that meta conversation using my tool of the success plan. The success plan talks about the why. I include the objectives, the success outcomes, the goals, the priorities. I take those from the proposal. They cover the how. We talk about the roles and the responsibilities. We talk about how we're going to communicate, how often, what platform are we going to communicate on? Teams? Are we going to communicate on Slack, email? Do you want a weekly update? We talk about the roles and responsibilities, who's going to do what, who's responsible for what. We talk about any risks, any blockers, any gaps that we need to address. Let's say the holidays are coming up or the head of the project is going to be on paternity leave. And then we also talk about how we're going to escalate issues as they come up. So oftentimes that will be contacting the buyer, the stakeholder. So for me, that's often the chief customer officer or the CEO. So we have all of that agreement in place. And then the moment anything is not going according to plan, the moment there's a blocker to the success, I reach out as agreed to that buyer, to the stakeholder, to address the problems as they come up. So rather than hoping nothing gets difficult, rather than hoping there's no challenges, rather than getting overwhelmed and nervous when things get difficult, we acknowledge that things are going to get difficult and we have a plan for how to address them. Learn more in my article, Customer Onboarding Starts with Why.